Yeah, I love talking about Joy Hour. It is a great event we do, and it's spreading across the country. The Joy Hour is creating a culture of connection. In a sober environment, we have all kinds of events and activities, but it really is creating a culture of connection. Our focus is addiction prevention, also addiction recovery, mental health, hope, and healing through connection. If you'd like to get involved, please go to theconsiderategroup.com/Joy Hour. Well, welcome today, the Joy Hour podcast. What an exciting day as a family to be here. I hope that we just have a great time as we go into the show. Mm-hmm. Are you excited to be here?
Yep.
Yes.
It's a very special day for our family, and I wouldn't want to spend it any other way than being in the studio with Zekin and all that they have been doing to work with us and do this podcast. It just means a lot to us. And here we are. So we'll just start going around the room to make sure everybody knows our names. We'll start with that. So what's your name?
Me?
Yeah.
Clark.
All right. And how old are you?
8. Almost 9.
Almost 9. All right. How about you, young man?
I'm Carter, and I'm 15.
All right.
I'm Shay, and I'm 13.
And all of you came from the two people over here. Well, you came from God, but what's your name?
Lana.
Lana, my
I'm not telling you how old I am.
wonderful wife. Yes, I won't ask you your age. And I'm Tom. And today we're just going to get into talking about ourselves a little bit, talking about our life. And of course, it's the Joy Hour podcast. So we're going to talk about that, right? But I think it's important we start a little bit about our lives and just have some fun. So we'll start with, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue, like your sweatshirt?
Yeah.
Okay. And then young man, Clark?
Green.
Green, okay. You got the wrong shirt on today.
Gold.
Gold, okay. Well, and what's your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue, I know that. We've been married almost 21 years. I better know that.
You better know that.
Well, Carter, why don't you jump in since you were our firstborn and just tell us a little bit about yourself. What are your favorite sports and hobbies, and just tell us about yourself.
Well, as I said, I'm Carter, and I'm 15. And sports, I mean, I really like all sports, but playing would probably be, I like playing baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Hobbies, I really like music. I play musical instruments. I can sing a little bit, and I do songwriting.
Nice, which you just put out one of your first ones on some platforms. Which ones did it go out on?
It went out on all music platforms, so Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. It's on any music platform out there.
Nice, and I love it. What's it called?
Back to School Freestyle with Gattaca Music by C Nova.
Nice. I'm proud of you. And in the family, you guys know, of course, but the audience doesn't. I'm the listener. These are my in-house full-time musicians. And what instruments do you play, Carter?
I play bass, upright bass, drums, and piano.
Awesome. You get that talent from God and from your mother. I'm so glad that you've put them into pursuing this. And Shay, what instruments do you love playing?
I play the harp and a little bit of piano, and I like to sing.
You do so well at that. I love the harp, and it's very peaceful. Anytime you want to play it, you can play it and put your dad to sleep. And Clark, you got an instrument or two you like?
Yeah, I mess around on the piano some, and then I like to sing, and then I do drums.
Awesome. Tell me something else about yourself.
I love all sports.
What's your favorite?
I can't make that decision.
I know you love playing catch with your dad. That's like,
I do, but that might not be my favorite sport.
right.
I'm positive.
Maybe basketball.
Maybe.
Yeah. Shay, tell me something about yourself.
Well, I'm not a huge fan of sports. But I love to bake, be in the kitchen, arts, and a lot of music. So a lot of different hobbies, really.
Yep. The baking. Now, we got to be careful about that. Last night, you had some extras over to the side of the cake you were making. And this morning I got up and thought, I had too much of that. So we got to be careful with the baking, but...
That's what I'm doing with that one.
Yeah, exactly. If it gets left out, you know where it goes. Dad, the cookie monster, the cake monster. But, well, how do you like school?
No. Well, okay. School's not bad in general. It's just high school, I guess.
Right.
I enjoy the fact that we homeschool, and it's definitely a blessing. The school is not my favorite thing to do. Yeah, everybody does it, and so I definitely think out of all the different ways to do school, we have it pretty good.
Agreed, yeah.
And are you saying that just because the teacher's in the room? They try to get teacher's pet?
We noticed the high schoolers' reaction versus the non-high schoolers. So,
Right.
yeah, there's excitement before high school here.
No, I still have
Just you
excitement.
wait.
I know.
It's tiredness.
You're not in high school
And
yet.
boredom.
Well, teacher, let me ask you, how do you like the students?
Oh no.
Depends on
Oh, we're on camera.
Depends on today. They're great because we're not in the classroom.
Yeah.
Right.
No, they're great. I love homeschooling, and even with all of the challenges that it can bring and the challenging days and moments, I wouldn't do it any different. And I love the time that we get together. And we've been more intentional this year. Or I should say I've been more intentional about being in the schoolroom with them more. A lot of their work is independent, so technically I don't have to be with them, but I've carved out time this year to be in the schoolroom with them more. And when I think back over all the years, we've been homeschooling for 11 years now. Yeah, 11 years. I can say that for sure, I think one of the top things, definitely in my top 3 of things in the last 11 years that have brought me the most joy has been homeschooling with the kids. Wow. And just the time that I've spent with them, watching them learn new things. Honestly, the amount of new things that I should say, relearned, because definitely stuff I learned when I was in school but then forgot. But just that joy of learning and getting to see them experience that and be on that journey with them. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you made that choice, and that was before you all were here. Mom and I had a talk, and she was committed to doing that, and I'm so thankful that you continue to do that. And just to make sure we're on track, though, I got a couple questions. Are you ready?
Oh boy.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Ready.
I could ask you anything, so you better be.
Should be
Yeah.
worried.
Let's start with. I could go a couple directions.
Oh.
Who's the first president?
George Washington. No.
Abraham Lincoln.
George of the United States. Of the United States.
And there we go. That's all right. How about 2 + 2?
Oh, 8.
Okay, we're
Million.
good. We're good.
They're showing off now.
Oh
Come
my
on.
goodness.
Now
We got math skill.
Do you feel like you can walk up and have a conversation with a person, regardless of what age they are, and enjoy it and
Maybe.
be comfortable in an atmosphere where you talk to people younger than you or people older than you? And
it'd take a little bit of courage, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
not in my comfort zone, but it helps a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
if the person is, it just depends. Like, a lot of people are actually really nice once you start to talk, though. It seems really scary to go up to people and talk if you don't know them.
yeah. And I think lately what's been on my mind with, as of when the internet came out, there became this understanding like all information is just a touch of the button away. You can find out all information right away, and it's so easy to find out. And so therefore you need to know everything, right? If you ask me the first president, I might get it wrong actually. And that's okay. I make mistakes. 2 + 2 is 4. And that's part of life. But I think so much of communication between two people can be fun if you're okay making mistakes. Instead of feeling like you need to know everything about every topic, just be yourself. And I believe that with Joy Hour, we've had that atmosphere. And we're going to talk about that a lot more at the end of the show. But don't you feel in that environment that you can be yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And have you made mistakes?
Yes.
Of course. Mistakes in life, mistakes in a conversation. It's okay. And I think that's so important as we continue to move forward and Joy Hours continue to spread, is as a family and all the others that have been involved for so many. We've had 67 Joy Hours now, but there's a lot of people involved, and I think that's the overall theme of it, of course, is creating a culture of connection where it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to have a bad day, but you've got somebody that's going, hey, it's all right, I got you. And who was that first president? Teacher? It is George Washington.
He's the smartest.
Anyhow, those are just fun examples. I hope that made sense. But we're going to jump in a little bit to kind of the meat of everything for today's show. And that is today marks 2 years for your dad with absolutely zero alcohol, zero substance abuse, drugs of any kind at all. And as you know, I'm pretty excited.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited? Yes. I know you are, and you are such a support. You have been such a support through every bit of this. You know, I wear this wristband that says 1 day at a time, and all of a sudden here we are at 2 years. And life just keeps getting better, you know, for everything that I do, and I would say it probably gets better for you. But I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to have you jog your mind to what it was like in the midst of those years where I was in active addiction with alcohol and substance abuse, and what that was like. So we'll start with Carter. Just give me an idea of some of the things you might remember and have experienced during the years that I was struggling the most.
Well, I mean, it was obviously, 2 years ago, so I do remember some stuff. You weren't home as often, typically out, and we thought you were just at work. You weren't at church as much. You would miss a lot of Thursdays and even some Sundays, I think. And when you did get home, always in a bad attitude, kind of like, very touchy. Don't get really angry with Dad. Don't get him riled up or anything. So, yeah, that's really what I remember.
So kind of like walking on eggshells around me for
Yes.
fear that I would lose it. And I remember those times. I remember even times where I was fine for a few minutes or a while, and then I would snap, and do remember that. And it's okay to remember it, but not to relive it and to relapse and go back to that. So much has happened, and I know that God has protected your mind and maybe your ears, and I know Mom prayed many, many times for your ears and eyes to be guarded from what was really going on. But it was bad. It was real bad, and there was lots of nights I wasn't home at all. There was lots of times I didn't go to church. There was lots of times that even if I was there in body, I wasn't there mentally. And addiction was a part of my life for 10 plus years. The last 5 or 6 were the worst, of course, as any addiction is. It just gets more and more and more, and I became more and more empty and more hurting inside, and that inside hurt would show through my attitude and lashing out verbally and all the things that went on. Shay, you have some things you remember?
Well, first of all, it did really make a difference that at the time we didn't know what was going on. Things were definitely different, but that was not long after your dad had died, and so since we hadn't had a family member pass before, we didn't really know what grieving looked like for people, and so I feel like, if you weren't home in the afternoon, well, you were at the cemetery, or, you were just grieving, or so we didn't know what was going on, and so it was hard to understand for us. I really had no idea at all. Definitely a lot of, when you would get home, it would be a lot later. We would do family dinners and game nights without you sometimes, and when you would get home, it would be, you would come home, get a shower, and go to bed early before everybody else, and, that kind of thing. And just going from, you could come home and be in a great mood at first, and then 2 seconds later, you could be, yelling and not in a good mood. And so definitely extremes, but nothing that I never really understood completely what was going on. I knew that Mom seemed more upset And I told you guys earlier that I didn't know. I thought at first that maybe something was wrong with Mom, because she was the one that was always, crying or upset, and it seemed like she was always on some kind of phone call in her room or something like that when you weren't home. So I really had no clue, but definitely it all made sense in the end, and definitely a lot of changes, more intentional family time and really just connection. Even on vacations, there's definitely huge changes whenever we go on family trips, because back then, sometimes you split off from us, or really just not being, even if you're, with us, not actually being participating, like you might be walking wherever we are with us, but you're not actually interested and invested in what we're doing. And so now whenever we go on family vacations, it's an experience, and we're all excited for it, and we all do it together as a family, and so it's just a lot better.
I enjoy the quality time we have together now. It's a lot different. And it's going to get better and better. Clark?
They said it all.
You're probably too young to remember much of any of it, huh?
Oh,
What do you remember?
it's fog.
It's fog.
But I don't remember much.
You mentioned some things earlier about things that Mom would say when you got home and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, just like, don't get Dad in a bad mood, don't get him riled up.
Yeah.
Like Cara said, just, Mom wanted us to make sure he didn't lose his cool, go off.
Let me ask you, Clark, do you remember how much time I actually spent with you, like playing catch or going to the pond back then compared to now? Just the difference?
Yeah. How last time, I don't even remember any times now. We went a month ago.
Mm-hmm. But I'm more present and more involved with your life, and I'm just going to get better. I'm reading a lot of books that help. I ask God to help me, be the best father I can be. And I look back and I regret those years that I made those choices and I took it for granted. And people I take for granted the most are the people that are guaranteed to be there. You're my kids. Of course you have to be in my home every day. I took you for granted. And of course, the person I took the most for granted was my wife. And, it hurts. It hurts thinking back on those things, but that's okay if I use it as a motivator every day to say no. Because every day, the rest of my life, every gas station, every restaurant, every hotel, everywhere I go, there's going to be alcohol. And it's very normal in the world to have a beer. And you go to a Mariners game, as you kids know, and there it is. It's just have a beer. It's drink responsibly, and so it's always going to be there. And so I just know that by talking about this, it's helped.
Yeah. Not
just our family, but we know that it's helping and showing hope to some of my close friends, buddies of mine, and people that I know, and we want to do more of that, right? But we definitely don't have a perfect life. And even though a picture might make it look like we have the picture perfect family in a picture, right? What goes on behind closed doors is what I'm trying to talk about today. And you've done such a good job already. But if anything else comes to mind, please share it. It's important to see what can happen in a life. And so I'm going to talk to Mom for a minute here. She's got a better memory. So give me some high and lows and whatever's on your mind about this topic.
No.
That's wide open, I know. But
That's a little scary.
tell us what you had to go through or what experiences it was.
We don't really have time for all that. The kids have summed it up pretty good. I will say I'm in awe, I guess I should say, of just how much things can change in such a short amount of time. So 2 years, I know to you, is probably feels like eternity when you're an addict and you're in recovery. I get that 2 years can seem like a long time, but really 2 years is not that long in the big picture of things. And so to see, and I was actually thinking about this morning, I was thinking back to what things were like 2 years ago today. And, you checking in to rehab, and it wasn't your first time to check into rehab, so quite honestly, I wasn't all that hopeful that this time was going to be any different. But, we had some tough conversations, and I had some tough decisions to make, and was kind of at that crossroads of trying to decide if, we're going to move forward. I knew that things had to change. And so whether that meant the kids and I moved on and things changed for us, I didn't know what that looked like for you, but I just knew it couldn't stay the way it was. And so I'm thankful that you decided things needed to change for you too at the same time, because I know for a lot of couples that go through this, unfortunately, a lot of times the spouse will finally get to the end of the line and decide that it's time to make a change, but the addict's not there yet. And then usually divorce or whatever will happen. And it may be years later before the addict finally, if ever, comes to that place of, okay, I'm done. It's time to make a change. But by then, the spouse is already gone and moved on. And the family, they've already lost everything by that point. And so hopefully they still get help and find, that help and healing that they need and can move on into a better life, but at what cost? What have they lost as a result of that? So I am very thankful that for our story, we both came to that things have to change now moment at the same time. Because I know for a lot of people in my shoes, it very well, and for me included, I could have made that decision years earlier. And thankfully I didn't. I'm very glad that I held out and waited. That's a whole nother story.
Against all odds. And I remember it came down to that talk in the garage.
Yeah.
You said, I'm leaving. And
I told you that if you didn't start getting active help, you would not see the kids again until you were actively getting help.
You'd contacted an attorney.
I was in the process of. I hadn't done it yet, but that was my next step.
What I saw was... It finally clicked. Like, this is not under control. I'm not okay, and I need to ask for help. But that's that tough love.
Well, yeah, and that was really a lot of it too. Was I started realizing how much I was actually thinking I was doing good by staying, and only to come to the point of seeing I was actually doing more enabling than I realized, and. That's again a whole different topic as well. But once I started the tough love, that is really what changed things in a lot of ways. And God, I mean, it's honestly, we can look at all the different tools. We can look at recovery and rehab and AA and NA and Celebrate Recovery and just all the things. I mean, Joy Hour even. We can look at all of the programs and all of the things that have contributed to your success and to our story in the last few years. But you take all of those things, and if you took God out of the picture, we wouldn't be sitting here today. Right. So it's still the ultimate reason for our success story and for us being here together, whole and complete as a family, still comes down to the God factor. And we're a miracle. And I know a lot of people don't have that same story, and their outcome is different. And I'm sad for those people. But I'm very thankful that, because I know that 2 years ago, I didn't imagine, and again, it goes back to the whole 2 years isn't really all that long. And so I'm so amazed at how quick things have turned around. It wasn't just that you got right, but God's done such a quick work in our marriage, in our family. and just where he's brought us from to like where we are now has just blown my mind, and I mean continues to, but it's pretty amazing. And how could it be anything other than God? Because people spend years in recovery and don't get to the place that I feel like you're at right now. And then marriages going through what ours have gone through can spend years in recovery and counseling and therapy and all those things and still not be at the place where I feel like ours is now. And so it has to be the God factor, you know, for that. So I'm thankful.
I'm very thankful and glad you brought that up. You know, the addiction was bad enough, but it brought on the worst of breaking the trust of a marriage. And if I could go back, of course, I wouldn't have allowed any of that to happen, but it did happen. And I'm glad that you and I are on the same page to be okay speaking of it into a friend or a person's life, to let them know that there is hope for a marriage to stay together through unfaithfulness and adultery and things that I put you through. And I just am shocked as well, like to think, like, because there was a point even a few months into sobriety where I thought, well, okay, we're going to stay together and it's going to be okay, and we'll kind of coexist, and it's going to be an average or okay so marriage, and this is the rest of my life. But I hurt her so bad and messed up so bad that it's never going to be good again. And that's kind of what I thought for months. And then I just kept focusing on meetings and classes and those tools, because you're right, God is at the top of all of this, but he also gave me clear direction. Tom needed rehab. And out of rehab, I needed NA and AA and Celebrate Recovery and books and journals and the Bible and all these different tools. I probably use 15 tools every week that really helped give me the strength to say, oh, yeah, I see the alcohol, but there's not an option. Be at a golf tournament, I see it, not an option. And I'll be at a networking event, not an option. But that's because so many tools are in my toolbox. But the other tool that has really been so helpful is that you and I communicate. And we have talked through the pain. The closet was cleared out of anything I could ever think of or bring up. And I asked God to bring things to my mind, like what else do I need to process or talk to my wife about? And finally, when it was clean, it was like this freedom of like, just like he still loves me, you know, you still love me, even though I went through and put you and the kids through all of that. So there is hope, you know, and our saying is, as long as there's
breath, there's hope.
As long as there's breath, there's hope. And if you saw some of the before pictures and the during pictures and the look in my eyes, you know, there was a point, kids, where I couldn't even look in the mirror for many, many years at my own soul. Like, you know, when you look in your pupils, like you look in your eyes in the mirror and you really stop and like search your soul. You know if you've lied. You know if you've cheated. You know if you've done something you shouldn't, right? Only you know a lot of times. And so I remember looking in the mirror and I'd be shaving. I couldn't even look at myself. I was so disappointed in who I was. At the same time, I had a company, a restaurant, all kinds of successful things. I'd look in that mirror. I think, this is me. This is me. I'm hooked on cocaine. I'm hooked on alcohol. Like, this is me. Lies. Like, my closet was full of lies. Everything. I lied to everybody, manipulated everybody. I was empty for years. I remember being in the shower, crying, coughing up blood, hiding in the bushes in my own backyard at Thanksgiving. I couldn't come inside and play games with you guys. And I'd just sit there and do more cocaine and drink more and smoke cigarettes all at the same time, sitting in my backyard right by the sports court, wanting to sober up, but I couldn't go inside. That was 2 years ago on Thanksgiving. How many times I would drive drunk with you guys in the car, cocaine in my pocket. I don't know, you're young and different ages, but you're smart. Oh, yeah. I'm in awe at what the life can do whenever the right tools are put in place. Well, that's that.
Let's move on to something lighter.
Move on,
like
but-
what really helped, and so let's talk about Joy Hour.
Okay.
Because that's, and so you were about 3 months, well, almost 3 months clean, and but still very much with the addict brain, because it takes about a year to come off of just that, for your brain to rewire,
Right.
at least a year. And so, especially for the first 6 months, oh my goodness, you were still very much just conquer the world. I mean, I think in the first 6 months, you were going to start like 10 different businesses and it was a roller coaster constantly. You would come home and it was just, you had this to share and that to share and would talk 90 to nothing, which you do that anyway, but when you're coming off of the high, it's even more so. And one night you had this idea, you felt like God told you to start Joy Hour. And I kind of have learned over the years with you, for some things, it's just like, okay, dear, that sounds good. You and your wild ideas, because some things are just going to pass. But this one, it wasn't that I felt like this one was going to pass. That wasn't it. It was just more so, okay, he wants to hang out with some friends and have something to help keep him sober. And I was on my own journey too, I should mention, at the time, of just doing all the research and stuff that I could on addiction and like what recovery was like for the addict, for the family. I was trying to understand what your journey was looking like. Mm-hmm. And so I knew that letting you do this was important.
Right.
But man, I had no idea it was gonna, little did I know that it was going to turn into what it's turned into. I just thought it was going to be this hangout that you did. Because I remember even when you chose the night of the week to do it on, at that time, I don't now, but at that time I had commitments once a month on Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. And I just told you, I'm like, that's fine. Go ahead and do that night, but I'll just have to miss. We'll just have to be prepared for that. And I won't be able to make it that one Wednesday of the month. And well, fast forward, once this kicked off, I started rearranging my schedule to make sure that my Wednesdays were free, because that's how big this thing has become.
And it's growing and it's spreading. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask you, from your opinion, what's one of the reasons you would tell somebody that's never been to come to a Joy Hour, Clark?
You'll be joyful.
Be joyful, that's easy. Carter, what do you think?
It's a very family-friendly environment. The adults have fun that they can have with, whether it's just playing card games or playing some pool or ping pong or even just talking. And the kids, they have, in the past we've had bouncy houses, we've done full-on basketball, big teams, and it's just a place where you will be able to find something that will give you joy, and something that will get you more connected with people you may have never met before, and it's just a really great place.
Creating a culture of connection, and we're all different ages here, as nobody noticed. But as you're shooting basketball or playing ping pong, you're probably not at the same time staring at a device.
Yeah.
Correct.
You're probably making eye contact with somebody else and having laughter. Somebody gets hurt, you might even have tears, right? Playing basketball and getting rough. I think that's happened a couple times. But there's all different things that happen with human connection. Shay, during quite a few Joy Hours, how have you connected? And tell me a little bit about why somebody would want to come check out Joy Hour.
you're getting at.
Yeah.
Well, first, in general, I would say probably one of the best things about Joy Hour for me is just the fact that I feel like I can serve my community in a way, and it's not just because it's something that we host. It's just anybody can come and feel like they're supporting the community. It's whether I'm talking to an 8-year-old or a 6-year-old and just playing a game with them to make them feel loved and connected, or whether I'm talking to somebody like an elder or somebody older. It's still just great conversation, and it feels like it really does. There's no age barrier. It feels like the youngest can talk to the oldest and vice versa, to where everybody's connected, and it's a big community. It's not individual groups of here are these people that do this. Here it's just a big community. And as to what you were saying, we have done the Sip Shack for most of our Joy Hours, which is an Italian soda, popcorn.
The bar.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sip Shack
the
is the bar.
bar for Joy Hour.
Yes, and so it's just been, that was probably my favorite thing. I got to know people really well. I would remember people by what they ordered.
And they would be upset if you didn't remember their orders the next
people
week.
would come and just say, I want my regular, and I would have to remember. But it was fun. Definitely a good experience, and just getting to talk to people whenever they come, because everybody was going to come, and so instead of going and finding people to talk to, they all came to me to order, and so I could talk to them, and it was definitely a really good experience.
That's awesome.
Huge shout out to Zekin. They are doing amazing things to help us, and they will help you. For more information, hit here.
You talked on something there about service work and serving others, and I know that is such an important thing for everybody to find an opportunity to do in life. It takes you outside of yourself and says, I'm doing this for somebody else and nothing in return. And so Joy Hour has provided that for every volunteer that's been involved. And we've had probably 100 volunteers through the last year and a half. I mean, every week it's at least 20 to 30 people, from the setup to the cleanup to the food to everything that goes into a Joy Hour is easily 30 people each event. And so we're so glad to provide that opportunity for volunteer work. During the meetings that I've gone to and everything, it's been such a common thread of recovery is to do some volunteer and service work, at least weekly, if not daily, because it takes you outside of your own self, your own problems, my issues, my problems, and it's all about me. But when you go and you work at a food bank, or you do something at a church, or you do something at a community center, and it's a Joy Hour being a community outreach, there's a lot of volunteer opportunities for the audience that's listening to this to sign up and get involved. We need a lot of help. This needs to be across the world, across the country, in every city. And so even in Auburn, and soon to be Bellevue, we need help at those. I know the one in Hoquiam, Aberdeen could use help, but it's a lot of blessing and benefit for everybody involved. But you found, Carter, setting up basketball, getting all the things ready ahead of time, of course the cleanup at the end, but also the planning of the teams, and we have these different vests and different colors that different teams wear, and Clark, you're just nonstop going and keeping kids involved with different games and activities. I think you're sweating the whole 4 hours, maybe 5 hours sometimes. And so Shay's in the Sip Shack most of the time, and Carter's setting up games, and Clark playing the games, and then the cleanup and the setup. And Lana, just so much that you've done, from being the first face somebody sees at the door, to the cleanup, to the prep, to the listening to me and Christy and Charlie and all the other ones, Jeremy, Melody, Cross, Jordy. I could go on and on. Jeremy, Charisse, Ryan, Kimber, Yvonne. I'm probably forgetting another 20. I know, but there's a lot of people that have been there early and stayed late to make this happen, and they have been blessed. We have had people bring food and bring things and say, there's no way I would accept money. Right. I need to do this. I want to do this. So I'm glad that you get to do volunteer work.
Yeah, and you mentioned something about how serving others for someone in recovery being so important, but I would change that statement to say that serving others for all of us is important. We live in such a self-centered world, and the focus more and more is becoming on looking out for number one and what can you do for me? And it seems like that attitude is just, you see it everywhere. But I mean, just like you said, for the addict, the best way to get your mind off of your problems or your addiction is to go and serve. But it's true for any of us. I mean, I may not have an addiction issue, but if I'm struggling with loneliness or if I'm struggling with anything, the best way to get your mind off of your problems, in my opinion and experience, is first of all, gratitude is always changes everything. If you could just focus on gratitude and then focus on serving someone else. If you're having a bad day, go do something, go do a kind act for someone else, because it changes you. It brightens your day, and you suddenly forget about your own problems and realize how blessed you are. And that kind of ties in with the whole gratitude. Once you start serving others, you start becoming grateful for your own blessings and the things you have. And I feel like Joy Hour, it does that. And like you said, it offers that opportunity for the whole community. I mean, I know for us and for our family, I definitely feel like it has helped us as a family, and I'm very thankful for that, serve together. And I love that all five of us can focus on one common goal and mission and can serve our community together. But, it's something that's an opportunity that's open for anybody in the community to come out and get involved.
Right. And I don't want to hear anybody say they don't have time, because you can look at your amount of time on your device. Right? And so you think about, if I spend 7 hours a day, which I think is the average, looking at my phone, let's just say 2 hours. Let's say I'm diligent. I only spend 1 hour a day scrolling uselessly. What can I do with that hour?
Right.
Could I go visit someone? Could I call someone? Oh, you say call. No. People don't call anymore. We need to. We need to be old school and write letters and mail them to people. And, actually, I got a handwritten card today when I walked in here to the studio. Very special. I'll keep that forever. But these are old school things, you could say, like to truly write a letter, to truly call someone instead of texting, then even more so to get together with them. So if I, as a father, have the ability to spend 3 hours a day or 2 hours a day on my phone, but then I have the choices, and I tweak them to where now I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend 20 minutes with Clark and 20 minutes with my wife. And for 20 minutes, I'm going to call a good friend and check in on him and just see how he's doing. That was still less than an hour, There's so much we can do, but we got to be so cautious. And we talk about loneliness and we talk about anxiety because I struggle with them. And I have found the way to combat it the best is not to spend time looking at this, but to spend time outdoors and doing volunteer work and realizing like I can truly bless somebody's day just by listening, by talking, by loving and hugging somebody. And so it's easy, and a lot of times it's free. Go on a walk with somebody. But during Joy Hour we get a taste of that, and we were doing it every week. Starting January, it's going to be once a month for a little while, so the fourth Wednesday of every month. But even though it's going to be once a month instead of once a week for a while, we still can carry that Joy Hour experience throughout the month to other people. So let's be more friendly when we see people in our day-to-day travel. We get on an elevator, we go to a store. We're not just at a store to get what we need. We're at a store to be kind to people as we get what we need. We're not just getting gas. We're saying hi to somebody as we're putting fuel in our vehicle. We're intentional with our eye contact. That's one of the biggest things this world needs, is be intentional with your eye contact and truly love the person you're looking at. And if you're a little bit higher than them emotionally, pick them up, because next month you might need them to pick you up. And that's okay. We talk a lot about feelings and emotions. Most 90% of my life, I didn't have feelings. I'm a contractor. I'm tough. I'm good. And the truth is I wasn't. And so I bottled them up as a tough guy. And I was fine for a few years, and then I bottled them up because I didn't talk about them. And now I talk about my feelings all the time. So guys, it's good to cry. It's good to talk openly. We're going to wrap up in a little bit, but I think this has been awesome so far. Just give me a few more things. I think I had some questions here, but what else is on your mind? Clark, go.
I'm confused.
Anything about Joy Hour you want to talk about?
No, before that. Your journey is finding out what his journey was.
Yeah.
No, I was on my own journey.
Finding out what his journey was.
Well, that's
Kind
part
of,
of it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
I would
a good
say,
question.
Yeah, that's
one
good.
thing about Joy Hour, as you were mentioning, is the whole eye contact and just thinking differently. Joy Hour helps, at least for me, to kind of change the way we think as we go about our lives. You know, being able to connect with someone 20 years, different, age difference from you, 20 years older than you or younger, can really, it just, versus always, I talk to my friends, I talk to my family, and that's it. Really sticking, whether that be for kids in school or, like you said, going to the store and going to the places where nobody thinks, why would we go to the store to talk to someone?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. But even something as simple as talking to the person that checks you out in the store, or talking, to somebody, to a worker or an employee somewhere, can really brighten somebody else's day, and also just help to change us.
Thank you. It's good. So true. What's on your mind, Mr. Almost 6 foot tall?
Almost 6 foot.
That's enormous.
Nothing much really.
Are you guys excited about the new Joy Hour location and our
Yes.
kickoff in January?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're starting on it. Might as well say it.
Might as well go there.
January
24th.
24th, 2024.
24.
We will be in the Junior Achievement Building in Auburn, Washington. What a venue. Wow.
It's going to be so
And
awesome.
the people there are just so incredible already. Just the discussions about how much this is needed and how supportive they are. I won't start mentioning names because I will mess up, but there's a lot of people that have been cheering for, pushing for in the Auburn area and now also Bellevue. And we do see this spreading to other cities very soon. If you'd like to start a Joy Hour, contact me. It's pretty basic, actually, and I'll give you the information, but I'd like to see one in New York, and I'm not moving to New York, so who's going to start one in New York? You are. Texas, Florida, all over the country. We need Joy Hours. Joy Hour is creating a culture of connection of all ages.
Right.
It's an open house. It's a fun time to hang out and get to know somebody in the community. And the main thing is to realize you're not alone. I mean, you're not. In your mind, you will be if you isolate yourself. And it will be ugly, and the sky's falling, and finances, and all this pressure, and all these things going on. And it'll get even worse if you stare at a screen too many hours a week. I know there's a lot of negative things going on in this world. I understand that. But they're also out of our control. What I can control is, am I at the dinner table tonight without my phone having dinner with my family? That's what I can control. I can't control the wars. I can't change major things, but I can be intentional with every minute, every conversation, the eye contact I have with people. Joy Hour is creating that culture of connection in each community. Our focus, of course, is addiction prevention, addiction recovery, mental health, hope, and healing. And these things are happening through connecting. The biggest drug out there that's ruining families, ruining relationships, ruining marriages, right here, it's called a cell phone. And for these 4 or 5 hours that we've had Joy Hour 67 times, I have seen nobody on their phone for sake of boredom. They're taking pictures, yeah, but nobody's on their phone. They're making eye contact with somebody in the community they just met that night, and they're having real conversations about real challenges and real struggles and a real life. And then the next day, they're remembering each other's names. They're remembering each other's phone numbers. They're creating relationships where they then go on hikes together and have lunches together, and they become bound together with a trust in the community that has nothing to do with us. Right. And that's so beautiful to see the Joy Hour movement is spreading naturally because we need it. Folks, we see what COVID did to us and our families. We see what cell phones are doing to our families. into our relationships. And people can't keep eye contact and can't keep their attention for more than a half a second. It's, this conversation is not important. So as you're talking, I'm going to look at my phone. I went out to lunch with you, but while I'm here at lunch, I'm going to stare at my phone because, I just got this. Oh my goodness, look at this, look at this. Like, how important do you feel right now if I'm staring at my phone? It's destroying our world. These here are the biggest addiction. So I know not everybody struggles with alcohol and substance as I did. I understand that. Be thankful that you didn't or don't. But it's on all different levels. And as we close out, I just want to let you know, if you want to support the Joy Hour movement, we are a 501c3. We want to spread this to other communities. We can't do it without other people getting on board. God's blessed our construction company and our family a lot to be able to bring it this far. Very grateful to do that. But we'd like to see it start in other cities, other countries.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of people catching the vision for what it could do for their friends, their neighbors, their communities. It can help combat and be proactive for homelessness, drug addiction, suicide, divorce, disaster, all kinds of things can be. Depression, absolutely. You're not alone in this world. There is somebody that has gone through very similar to what you're going through at the same time, or has come out the other side and can say, hey, I got you, bro. Come here. Bring it in. Here's a hug. I love you. Hey, let's talk tomorrow morning. Hey, where are you at? Checking in. Accountability with each other. Hey, I'm having a rough day. I don't want to go to the bar. I feel weak. I feel sad. I feel depressed. Call me. Call each other. That's what we're here for.
Right.
Iron sharpens iron, and we need to be here for each other and say, I love you. I love you more than my phone. I love you more than going out and spending a bunch of money on things I don't need. I'd rather spend $20 and have coffee and something with you and sit here and talk about real talk. And when we leave the coffee shop, we leave the restaurant, we both feel encouraged.
Right.
I hope I summed that up pretty good, but we'll wrap up unless you have any other thoughts. Go to the Joy Hour, the Considerate Group page, and
Join the movement.
Join the movement.
Yep.
My Dad, you asked me to write a theme for Joy Hour, and I'm working on that, so that should be hopefully up and released before spring.
You're not saying that?
I thought you were going to say before January 24th. It's close, though.
I should have it recorded and everything by then.
Yeah.
But yeah, the uploading process takes a couple months.
Sure. The Joy Hour song, the lyrics are down.
The lyrics are finished. I have the music ready. Just gotta record and upload.
Well,
There you go. Yeah, good job. Love it. Do you want to sing the Joy Hour song as we close out?
no, we can't.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
How else can people follow us and look into it?
Facebook. They can find us on Facebook, the Considerate Group, or they can go to our website.
ConsiderateGroup.org. Backslash, I would say, Joy Hour. But yeah, just type in Joy Hour. You'll find us.
Yeah,
And got any questions at all, reach out to me. Love talking about Joy Hour. It's truly helped save my life, save my family. And it's been an opportunity to do volunteer work in the community for others. And by doing that, it's helped us.
Yes.
Pretty simple.
Absolutely.
Glad we're here today. Zekin, so awesome for doing this in the studio today. Really appreciate their support in making this all happen. Have a great day.